So it might be a little bit random talking about Freefly team. I want to sort of talk a little bit about the team, but largely about what it is to compete in Freefly A, what is required, what's needed, skill levels and all other bits and pieces. And also just to kind of, if people are interested in team generally, hopefully there's going to be a lot of information in there that you're going to be able to take away and digest later on. So a lot of people don't know it, but Euphoria is one of the oldest Freefly teams. Now that's got nothing to do with me personally. I only joined it about 4 years ago. But it started way back in the 90s. And I'm going to mention a couple of names, and those people who know people, skydivers, they're going to hear these names go, oh wow, those guys were in Euphoria back in the day. So back in the early 90s, it was Grant Meekey, Chris Guntrip and Gordon Mission, and they sort of like flew the flag all the way through the 90s. Mid-90s, people sort of come and go, chop and change. People like Alec Cotton came in and joined in, Gary Sweeney. Anyone who doesn't know who these people are, they're quite sort of iconic names, now off doing magical things around the world. And then we've got Mikey Carpenter comes in, early 2000s, along with Andy Newell and Pablo Hernandez, who's now a world swoop champion, or he has been. Then Mike and Pab ran the Euphoria school over in Lilo in Madrid for a few years. And then the team started to kind of like move away and do different things. Everyone went off and did their own thing. Outbreak was created by Andy Newell and Mikey Carpenter, and then that started to develop into Volair, and then sort of kind of carried on with that. Euphoria then sort of ticked along in its own sort of way with sort of people that we sort of now have in the mix. So Andy Godwin, Gary stayed there for a little bit longer. I joined in. Sean Freeman from Air Kicks joined in. Adam Dare was in it last year. So it's kind of the same names continuously regurgitating. And have done some pretty good results. 2010 silver in the British Nationals, 7th in the World Champs. 2011 6th in the World Cup. Bronze in the Nationals. Hasn't always been good. 2012 came 4th in the Nationals. There's only 4 teams in it. Okay, so you know, I was on it that year as well. We messed up. We made one mistake, and no one else made any mistakes, and that was it. So it's kind of the fickle nature of the Nationals. 2013 they got silver, and then last year we got 4th in the World Championships and gold in the Nationals. It's got a subgroup as well. It's not a subgroup, it's the same thing, which is Freestyle Euphoria. Okay, so that's been headlined by Alex Dand and Andy Godwin. And that looks set to carry on. I've got a lovely little history here from Alex, but I'm not going to go too crazy with that, because I want to talk more about the actual, what it is to be in Freefly A. But Alex has done brilliantly. You know, since 2011, she's been getting golds, you know, silvers, World Cup bronze, last year gold again, 6th in the world. So it's sort of golds all the way, and she's doing fantastically. So we're all kind of trying to fly this, the Euphoria flag a little bit. So what is Freefly A? So obviously it's 2 performers and 1 cameraman. A lot of people think, well, maybe the cameraman doesn't need to be as good. In reality, the cameraman has to be equally as good, if not probably better, than the actual performers. So the performers are generally there making themselves in time with each other, and the cameraman is there making sure that he's in control of the speed of the whole thing and how things look. So I want to just show you a little bit of what it is actually about. And then you can see there's that. So it's good to wear different suits while you're training. So we've got some grey suits on there, just to so we try and keep the actual training, the actual competition suits clean. So this is the first round of the World Championships. So during the course of this video, I'm going to show you this in its entirety, and then a little bit later you'll see a split screen. So it'll be the same jump, round 3 and 4, I believe. It'll be the same jump next to each other, and you'll see about the timing that we're talking about. So we'll just let this one play. So generally speaking, you have one man who's flying a two-way with the cameraman, while the other person is flying a two-way with the other performer. So there's plenty of setups all the way along. So we're continuously looking out for the cameraman, seeing where he is, making sure he's in the right place before we go and do the next move. We all sort of play to our strengths. Dave is fantastic at keeping the routine flowing, and my strength is following Dave and trying to keep the timing of the whole thing. So you can kind of relax in a way. I just sort of concentrate on staying in time with Dave, and Dave works the cameraman. Every now and then we sort of swap places. So he's in time with me, I'm looking out for the cameraman, because we've got these different setups all the way through. So what you just saw there was the routine. So the routine doesn't actually have to be exactly the same each time. A lot of people think we have the same routine every time you do the jump, and that you're judged on it being exactly the same each time. You're not really. You can actually have a completely different routine every time you jump. But the reality is we need to end on 45 seconds. If you are not just off screen at 45 seconds, then the judges are going to go, right, okay, that's lower points, because you're not within a 45-second remit. So time restraints, money restraints, everything else generally means that every team out there, they do one routine, and they stick with that all the way through. And you'll see from that very first one there, which is the first one of the nationals we just saw, until the very last one at the end of this, the actual routine is sort of gets faster and faster and more flowing and smooth with every single one we do. So every time you do the routine, you might start getting a bit bored of it after a while, but you actually start to make it more and more solid. This is compulsory round. So the 7 rounds altogether. This is round 2. This is one of the compulsory moves, a cat barrel roll. And then how you go from one move to the next isn't scored as such, but it is used as the overall scoring of the whole thing. So you are going to get scored on presentation as well. The last one we just saw there was the totem, and I'll just back it up a little bit. One of the hardest things about this particular element is, if you imagine 2 guys flying in that kind of position, you're now falling at something in the region of 210 miles an hour. There's almost no resistance whatsoever, but you've got 2 people's weight on top of each other. Also, I'm underneath on this one. I'm burbling Dave, so Dave's weight doesn't have any lift really to it whatsoever. So the biggest challenge with this is the cameraman has to preempt this massive acceleration of speed. During this particular compulsory in the World Championships, a lot of the people, a lot of the other teams were saying that this compulsory is very, very ground hungry. So they were finding it hard to fit all of the things in within 45 seconds. They wanted more height. So the 45 seconds wasn't necessarily the issue, but the height was. They wanted more height because there's so many moves in here that are high speed. We kind of took the edge of, do you know what, we worked pretty hard on this to make sure it works. So, you know, if you don't fit within the remit, then maybe your compulsory round 2 needs to be one less move or something like that. But it seems a bit bizarre, people wanting to change the rules right at that last minute. And then how you get from one move to the next, like there's just a little bit of extra style in there for the points. V compress, that one looks easy, but it's weirdly difficult. And then the judges always want to see some kind of an ending, you know, people coming off screen, and then when the screen's blank, then that's the end of your 45 seconds. So I've kind of looked at these for a few times, and I think that there's, roughly speaking, never more than a 1 second difference from one round to the next. This is all about ending on 45 seconds. It's all about knowing exactly where the other person is continuously. And sometimes we're not perfectly in time, like here, and then we both kind of know we've got to speed it up a little bit because we sense that it's going a little bit slow, and then right at the end we kind of get it so it all finishes at the same moment. Oh, this one is round 5. We've cheated a little bit. We used exactly the same exit as we do on our routine, but the judges look at that and go, that's quite interesting. We'll score you for that. So the first move is it's a back layout with a half twist. This is also a very, very fast moving compulsory, the head up rounds and head up carve. One of the nice things about the compulsories is that you can, because you're judged on the actual block, if you like, you can work on them a lot in the tunnel. You don't have to. The skydives are obviously important to make any of this work, but they're not as important as a routine. The same kind of thing. You're going to see things maybe starting to look a little bit slicker and a little bit neater. One of the things that a lot of teams always underestimate is how nervous they're going to feel when it actually comes to the competition. So there they are, they're representing Norway or wherever it is they come from, and they've got loads of funding, they've spent a load of time, they're supposed to be the country's hopefuls, and they turn up at this thing, and next thing you know, you've got all these nerves going on, and this is the thing that tends to mess jumps up. Now, during the course of our free round, although there's not any what you call particularly complicated free flying in there, there's something happening every 2.5 seconds. We kind of upped the game a little bit when it comes to the nationals. We want to give the judges something slightly different to look at. We then have something happening every 2 seconds. Now, I think what put us maybe above what you might consider people who can fly better than us, and down here at 8th or 9th, I think it was, you had some world-renowned teams. So you had the Dubai guys there. You know, I'll be honest, they were better free flyers than us by a long way. However, they had a few very, very big moves that took a long time. Now, if you have a beautiful sunset and you look at it for 20 seconds, you'll go, well, it's a lovely sunset, but I've kind of seen it now. If you look at something for a few seconds and then it moves to something else exciting and something else exciting and something else exciting, it keeps the judges interested, and the people kind of, wow, it's always moving, it's always doing something and flowing. And I think that's what sort of gave us the edge over other teams who, let's face it, have got, you know, a lot more tunnel time than we had and a lot more jumps and were funded and didn't have any of the stress or anything else like that. You're always going to get Russia up there. It's just the way it is. France always do really well. One of the differences are that the French in particular and the Russians, they have like academy style training programs. So there are people out there who want the people in the government there that want to get France up on the leaderboard, and they wander around all the drop zones and they make sure they get the best talent in the whole country. Now, we don't have the best talent doing this stuff in this country. I know we don't. What we do have is that we have the people who are willing to put the most time and effort in. That's the bottom line. That's what we have. And still we're doing pretty well, I reckon. This country has got, I know it, I know we've got better free flyers that are better than the French and the Russians. I know we have. But we need channeling. We need to channel that energy so we get the best out of who we are. And it's not me. That is for sure. So as usual, without support, okay, it's just not going to happen. So last year, BPA were brilliant. Gave us a nice amount of cash. Plexus gave us a nice amount of cash. Jumpsuits and things like that. You've got to look like a team at the end of the day. Wind tunnel's crucial, drop zone's crucial. You've got to have all these people on your side. Whenever someone starts out the first year of team, it's just very expensive, you know, because no one knows you, and you've just got to get out there and do something. So this is the first round of the Nationals, I believe. So it's slightly changed routine. We've speeded things up. We've added a few extra things in there. Hopefully you guys see the extra speed, because it felt like we were going a million miles an hour during the whole thing. As we were saying before, the cameraman, he's solely responsible for making the piece look like it's moving around the sky. The slight cheat with what you're seeing is that Dave and I generally are falling straight to earth, and the cameraman is making us look like we're moving around it. Andy Newell put this video together, quite like it. Some music on there as well. Every now and then you'll see a shake from Dave, shaking my hand. So that's the key. We're ready, the camera's in the right place, we're going to go. So this is round 7. Probably one of the best jumps of my life, because I knew that if we didn't mess this up, and Andy hit record on the camera, that we would maintain our placing unless the other teams had done something ridiculously amazing. So this is the jump where everything is at stake. Anyone who's done any free fly training and stuff in the tunnel will know that you can't rush your moves. Actually, the slower and smoother you go, the better your results are. And despite it being round 7, everything to lose, you've still got to maintain that same ethos of your flying. You've still got to slow it down, make it and keep it really smooth all the way through. So, what do we want to do with Freefly in this country? Well, we want to make sure that with these tunnels that are brewing up all around the world that we don't get left behind. We are going to get left behind because we don't have the funding that the other countries do. So, what we're trying to do, myself, Zoe Edwards, is trying to put together a Freefly Academy. Okay, we called it the British Freefly Academy. The whole sole goal and aim of this is to take teams, channel their efforts, have a deal on tunnel time, have a deal on jump tickets, make it as cost effective as possible, and make sure that people are, when they get to the nationals, that they are actually giving the judges what they want to the best of their abilities. All right. So anyone who's been following us on Facebook a little bit, may well have seen this stuff. A little while ago, we put out a thing where I was going to give away 10 minutes of coach tunnel time for the best logo. All right. For the thing. So there's been some. Let's, what do we need to do? We need to do that. And then we need to do that. So, runners up. I'll just show you runners up. It obviously an outrageously close call.
Congratulations, Matt Pillars at the back there.
Actually, truly amazed at the response of this. How many did we have, Zoe, these logos?
I had about 8, 9, 10 people send in logos, and they were like a random 5, 6, 7 different logos. So quite a tough competition, actually.
Yeah.
So well done, Matt.
so well done, Matt. You've got the runners-up prize. I didn't actually have anything organised for that, but you know we'll come up with something. However, we do have a winner. And the winner is Sarah. Woo! Well done, Sarah.
Does everybody like the logo?
Mine's better.
Well done, Sarah.
Okay, so the connection between what we're trying to do here and Euphoria is all the Euphoria guys have said they want to get involved with this thing. There's going to be myself, there's going to be Dave, there's going to be Annie Newell, potentially as well Sean. We're all going to help teams try and get the best out of what they can get. The goal is to run a few camps during the course of the year where coaches there is on hand ready to sort of view footage, give some advice, fill in for a missing team member, that kind of thing. Now what we're going to need is we're going to need to not get left behind with the whole Freefly team thing. We need to make sure that in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, and we get to go to World Championships again, that we've got a real nice selection of strong teams that are going to do their best for the country, basically. And if we don't do that, we are going to get left behind. So on that basis, I've been talking to Chatteris, and we've been talking to Bedford. We've been trying to get some rates going. And actually, I think that anyone who wants to get involved with a team, even if you're one person and you don't have a team, then this is probably a good place to start. You can come here and we can try and go, well, these guys are only 2 people in their team and they want an extra member or whatever. We can try and make it so that people can have it as a place to get together and form the teams. It is going to turn out that we're going to be able to get funding for this stuff. Places like Dubai, putting this out there on the world stage, like all these awesome videos, doing us the world of good with this stuff. Skydiving starting to become more and more mainstream. It's not, oh yeah, you're doing skydive. Remember, someone died a few years ago and it was all terrible. It's actually becoming something that the companies and the general public actually see as not hugely scary or weird or anything else. It's starting to become more mainstream. And every time Dubai put a video out and it looks awesome and more people see it, that's just adding to our cause. And one day, hopefully, the government and the Olympic organisation and all this kind of stuff will go, ooh, maybe we'll take notice of that and we'll actually start to put a bit of money into this and make this happen. So this is where we want to head with that. We want to make this happen. We want this to be something that we're going to bring forwards and do year on year on year and try and get the best out of the UK skydiving that we can. Anybody got any questions? Yes?
What age range are you looking for the academy and any future competitions?
It absolutely doesn't make any difference. It's literally, when I'm coaching, I've got people from, as the youngest person I coach, be 15, going up to 77. Generally speaking, you know, it just doesn't matter. There's no limits. It's all about, you know, putting some time in the tunnel, building your skills up, and then when you've got your team working to each other's strengths, and it kind of makes sense that you almost have a certain standard. So you've got Freefly A and you've got Freefly B. So Freefly A is head up and head down. It's multidisciplined. And you need to have both of those skills, although you could technically do your free round with just head up if you wanted, because it's free. It's whatever you want to do. But when it comes to compulsories, some of them are head down, so you've got to have that. Whereas with the Freefly B, that's everything's head up. So anyone who knows about tunnel kind of know that there's, you know, you've got the initial skills, getting in there on your belly and making that look sharp, and then you've got your back fly skills and you've got your sit fly skills, and then you could take that to competition, but then to get into doing head down, that's another very big jump. So the Freefly B, especially this last year, it's becoming more and more popular. So it's a nice place. People can get to that point, stop, have some fun with their skills, and then move on later on if they want, or stick with the Freefly B. So yeah, it's kind of open to all, basically.
What's your minimum requirement for getting involved in like FF, or what stage are you building people up?
I think you've got to be honest with yourself. You know, you've got to have a look at, say, your Freefly B, some videos on YouTube or something along those lines, and think to yourself, that's roughly the standard that I need to be. You are going to need FF1 regardless, but beyond FF1 is other skills where you're going to start to be able to you know, work with a team and actually have you produce something. Yeah, does that answer it?
So are you having like an assessment to get into this Freefly Academy then, or rating people just on their honesty and integrity?
It's going to initially start off with people's honesty. We'll try and get people together, and you know, people say, well, I've got this many jumps and this much tunnel time, and that gives people a bit of an idea of roughly where you're at. And then from there, it's going to be a little bit of the sort of proofs in the pudding. We're probably going to do a bit of tunnel time first as initial camp to get things sort of the ball rolling and sort of see what people's skills are like. And then there's always a transfer from the tunnel to the sky anyway. It's not an immediate thing. If you're a very good tunnel flyer, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good skydiver. There's a bit of a transfer there. So I think the assessment's probably going to start once we get things going and we get names and people interested and try and start putting people together. We'll have a tunnel session and see where people are going, and then it will be kind of like the raw, okay, well, actually we want you in our team, but maybe you need to do a little bit more time to build your skills up. And then that's actually something you can take away. You go, right, cool, I'm in a team, it's good. I know we need to do another number of minutes in the tunnel to kind of get the skills back up before I'm up to the same level as the other people in the team, and then that's part of it as well. Dave at the back, you had a question.
Yeah, going back to the logo competition, how close it actually was for Matty winning?
So Zoe's going to have to answer that, because I let Zoe sort of completely take over the logo thing. So.
I mean, to excuse the pun, but I had Matty hands down on that one.
Yeah, age free as well. Yeah, it's a good effort.
Technical difficulty. And he's got special needs.
Spent a few hours pondering it actually, Dave, to be honest, but I think it came down to artistic design from Sarah rather than just scribbles.
I think Matt should have won because that one sends the wrong message, I think, because it's like a smash camera. Sorry, that's the way.
Matt's is definitely a softer edge to it. Maybe, this is accessible to 3-year-olds as well.
That's me all over me, it's softer.
Yeah, soft around the edges. And so just Sarah, you just need to come and see me anytime and we'll book it in.
Is there not a medal?
Yes.
Oh God!
Participation. I was wondering how much it might cost the average person to get involved, on average. The average.
Well, it all depends on how seriously you and your team want to take it. I would say that in order to be as good as you're going to be with the skills that you've got when you first start the training, then you're probably looking at about 120 jumps. Maybe more, maybe 150.
Freefly jumps.
Yeah, as a team. So all 3 of you.
In the sky.
Yeah. You can also add that in, and you can work on a lot of the routine stuff in the tunnel. So you can use the tunnel to sort of determine what it is you want to get out of it, and make it work with each other. And then you can try and take that to the sky. Now, transfer sometimes takes a little bit longer. The key is not to go too crazy with your skills. A lot of free fly teams will come up with, we did 300 jumps this year. What they actually did was maybe 150 of those were practicing stuff that they thought was going to be awesome, turned out to be very, very tricky and unreliable, and that they've thrown away. So it's part of what we want to do is we want to channel people's energies so that when they start jumping, that they really are doing the best thing for them and their team, and making sure that it's going to be as good as it can be with the jumps and the budget and everything else. And it might be that at the end of this, if anyone who is interested in team wants to come and see me, and we've got a few people, well, I want to do it, but I don't have any more team members. This is probably what we want to do. It might be that you join a team and they go, right, well, our budget is, we're not going to be able to afford more than 60 jumps and X couple of hours of tunnel time or something like that. Or whatever the remit is, and we work with what we've got. This first year is going to be when it's a brand new team, unless you're very, very lucky and you manage to get some sponsorship from somewhere, you're very, very likely to have to be paying for the whole thing yourself. As we go through the nationals, we do the nationals and potentially come out of that with a result. You can then take that result and go to a company and go, okay, can we have some free things, please? Or you might even be able to get some sponsorship from external company. Yes, David.
A serious question this time, Paul. Because obviously you start in the academy, are Air Kicks and Bodyflight going to recognise the academy and give you sort of a rate that academy would get, like a cheaper fly rate in tunnels?
Yep.
So
we've got a cheaper rate. Assuming there's 2 or 3 of you in the tunnel already, then you're sharing the cost of that. Yeah, absolutely. That's already underway. Currently, the general plan is this: to do 3, maybe 4 camps. Initially, I'd like to stick to the UK. because that way people can zoom home at night or keep businesses going or do whatever it is they need to do. Do a few camps maybe from a Tuesday to a Sunday up until the Nationals. We'll be going to Chatteris and then also using Bedford as well. So bad weather day, going to Bedford, good weather day, jumping. That would be the general gist of it.
In competitions, what's the split between free rounds and compulsories, and how many compulsories are there?
So you've got 7 rounds altogether. The first round is your free round. The second round is your first set of compulsories, which you can do in any order. They don't have to be done in that order. Rounds 3 and 4 are free round again. 5 is a compulsory, and then 6 and 7 are free rounds. That's the general thing with it. All right.
From a general skills point of view, I consider Freefly a harder discipline than formation skydiving. So if you partake in this academy and go to all camps and everything, is that good? Would you say that that would improve your skills massively in formation skydiving as well?
I'll be honest, probably not, because the skills are very, very different. They're so different.
Just your kind of relative positioning in the air.
Yeah, I mean, for the FS stuff's very, very, very different to what we're doing. Very different. I mean, for a start with the FS stuff, your cameraman stays pretty static, and he's there to view blocks being made. We're flying as a three-way, the 3 of us, and we're continuously seeing where the other person is, waiting for a setup point, going to the next move. So yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think that necessarily going down this route is going to ultimately ever really help FS. Personally, that sounded a bit harsh, didn't it? That sounded a bit harsh, Zoe.
How much can you actually, in terms of tunnel time, obviously as a 3, how much can you actually work on in the tunnel as a 3, if any at all, or is it mostly just kind of the twosome, and then it's kind of up to jumps to really go to town on that kind of threesome?
There's a limit to how much tunnel time that's gonna be of benefit to you. If you take the tunnel time from the moment you start training as not necessarily you building your skills up anymore, but working with what you've got, I mean, sure, you'll make what you've got smoother and faster and nicer, but it's not. That isn't necessarily the goal with that shared tunnel time. There's a point where you'll probably all say to each other, okay, we've now done the routine time after time after time after time in the tunnel. We've kind of now got to take it to the sky, and you've then just got to get the jumps in. Dave and I, personally, I think we sort of, the times we've been doing it, we looked at it and got to about 3 hours of tunnel time, and then we've stopped. And, you know what, we're not gaining anything now, because it's actually how it interacts with cameraman and how you get the exit right.
Initial, get your skills up, then say 3 hours in the tunnel, getting the routine sorted, and then pretty much it's kind of right now it needs to go to the
yeah. Yeah, I want, with this in particular, I don't necessarily want to have it so that we've got a set sort of schedule, although sometimes that's useful, because that set schedule and that set of jump numbers and tunnel time means people are going to think to themselves, okay, well that's a budget of this much, and actually I want each team to take what they want from it. So once you've gathered your team members together, to actually say to each other, well, how much do we want to spend on this? How many weekends have we got available to do this? How much time can we spare with it? What does everyone's diaries look like? Let's try and coordinate some dates and some times and things like that. And it might be that, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we all could do, like the Dubai team, 500 jumps and unlimited tunnel time? You know, wouldn't that be fantastic? But all of that time and energy and effort, in fact, didn't translate into results for them, because of, you know, they weren't necessarily giving the judges what they were after, I suppose. So yeah, we want to keep it fluid, so people take from it what they want to take, and not have it so it's sort of a rigid thing.
I don't know if this question's already been asked or in the toilet, but what sort of assistance can a prospective team expect from the academy?
What sort of assistance?
As in sort of, Paul, will yourself say, right, I'll spend the whole weekend just jumping with you guys, or will it be a group thing? Or?
Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take say a 4-day camp. So you have it'll be one of us there. You guys will do some tunnel time where essentially the coaching is in there at the same time. You do some jumps, and your routine and your choreography can be channeled through an external eye, and they can have a look at it and go, okay, this doesn't work, take this out. The judges aren't going to appreciate the complexity of that, take that out, put this in. And just try and get it so that you channel the energy as best as you can to the thing. So in the same way as, you know, Dubai had the 500 jumps and the tunnel time, but they didn't get the result, that was channeling. Because in fact, if they had been channeled in the right direction, they would undoubtedly have won it, because they were the better free flyer. They were the best free flyers there, without a shadow of a doubt, by a very, very long way. So what we're trying to do is, when you're doing every jump that you do, you're getting the most out of it that you can for the time and effort and everything else that you're doing. So when it gets to you going to the nationals, you know that you haven't wasted any time. I mean, if you did 100 extra jumps and was wasting that time and energy, then you've sort of gained nothing. But if you've got a budget of 120 jumps and you waste 100 trying to work on something fancy that's not going to be appreciated anyway, then in the end you find yourself, well, we've ruined this now. We can't go anywhere because we don't have the time and the budget for it. So that's what we're doing. Have someone on hand who can help out with tunnel, help out with choreography, stand in if you know, let's say your cameraman is called away and he's got to go to work or whatever, then right, okay, well, you guys can carry on training, I'll film you or whatever, just as an extra person on the ground who can fill in slots and make things work.
Aiming to give a lot of support to new free flyers, like the same as like say new FF rookies get, where they would have like a AAA team take them on. I guess I don't know much about free fly, but it doesn't seem to be as much advice out there if you're a newly sort of rookie free fly team.
Well, this is what. Yeah. Well, this is what we want to change. Yeah. This is the whole point of it. So rather than, I want to keep things personal for everyone. I mean, in the same way as Euphoria is sort of personal, and all the other teams is a personal thing. I want to keep this personal. So, you know, 3 people meet, they think about putting a team together, come up with a team name, they all start working together, and suddenly this thing is created between themselves, and it's a personal thing, as opposed to and having us as just your guidance and to help you along your way. That's what we're after, as opposed to sort of putting a big stamp on there, so that maybe in 3 years, 4 years time, potentially you're on the podium at the Nationals or something like that. You can go, yeah, do you know what, one of the things that helped us was, the guidance right at the beginning from this, and that's what we want. We don't necessarily want to kind of go, right, well, our name was on that right from the start, and you've got to keep that with you. That's not important. This for me is about making sure that we're ahead of the Freefly curve with the rest of the world, because if we don't keep up, we are going to get left behind. All right.
Can we sign our names?
Sorry?
Can we sign up?
Absolutely, yeah. Basically, it's Zoe and I have just be here, come and see us, chat some more, and we'll get people together, all those people who want to get together. Hopefully, as time goes on, if we can chuck this particular thing around the internet a little bit to other people who might be interested in team, then we can get more people who are interested in getting together, doing that kind of stuff.
Have you got a Facebook group for the Academy?
We have, yeah. If you go, if you chuck in, look up BFFA in a search, you can get in contact with me or Zoe, and we'll give you a link or whatever. Well, guys, that is it. We've got to actually clear the room soon, because the next guy's coming in. Thank you.